Hello, I'm Joe, and we need more animated superhero movies. So this week on Shorts, I've been looking back at the early days of the DC animated movie universe, and upon revisiting them, I've been pleasantly surprised by how many have stood the test of time. Looking at the MCU, X-Men 97 has been the most fun I've had in the MCU for some time, and this is as a person who generally treats nostalgia like this.
No! Cancel that bitch!
There's been a lot of talk about superhero fatigue and audiences losing interest in the genre, which I think is a little hyperbolic, but it's clear folks aren't just going to see anything with some capes in it. One way that interest could be renewed in the genre is through animation, because whether we're looking at the past or the present, some of the strongest stories ever told in the superhero medium have come by way of animation. Considering that comics are monthly episodic narratives, it's honestly not surprising that some of the best superhero storytelling outside of comics has been an animated series. One need only look at the masterful work Bruce Timm and Paul Dini did through Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. Comfort and Joy, the Christmas episode of the Justice League series, is one of the finest pieces of superhero storytelling that you can find. The Flash and Ultra Humanite storyline just ultimately gets at the heart of who the Flash is more succinctly than either the show or the movie. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, the film set within Batman the Animated Series, stands head and shoulders as one of the finest adaptations of the Caped Crusader to this day. To this day! While DC has been hit or miss in the live-action realm, it has consistently knocked it out of the park when it comes to animation. Now, Spider-Man has had a pretty good track record with movies if you discount the pathetic excuse of the cinematic universe that is the Sony Spider-Man universe. A Spider-Man universe without a Spider-Man. But we cannot deny that the webhead has consistently killed it in animation. Of course, we gotta show love to the OG Spider-Man from the 60s and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but if we fast forward a little bit, we have the seminal 1990 Spider-Man cartoon with that slick-ass Joe Perry take on the theme. It had some pretty solid takes on the Venom Saga and the Sinister Six, and I went back to it as an adult, just curious to see how it held up, and while it's very much a children's TV show from the 90s, it does have its fair share of bangers. I was even a fan of the bonkers and short-lived Spider-Man Unlimited. I know Spectacular Spider-Man is widely regarded as one of the best takes on the character, but I can't really comment as I haven't really watched it. I was in high school when it was airing, and I was more likely to be watching Whitest Kids and Derek comedy vids than Disney XD. I'm sorry, I'm trash. And I know this is a strong choice, but my personal favorite Spider-Man cartoon was MTV's short-lived Spider-Man the Animated Series. You gotta understand, the first Spider-Man for me was essentially what Batmania was for people in '89. Spider-Man has always been my favorite Marvel hero, and this show came out at the perfect time. I just thought the art style was so incredible to look at. I was reading Ultimate Spider-Man at the time, and the show basically was a perfect translation of what it felt like for me to read that book. I was the right age, it was the right time, and I will always have a soft spot for this show. But when talking about animated Spider-Man, we gotta talk about the large, multiversal elephant in the room. But before we do that, how about you give the channel a like and subscribe? I mean, you're still here, so you're not hating it. I mean, I hope you're not hating it. Please don't hate it. I don't know what to say about the Spider-Verse movies that hasn't already been said. These films are just outright bangers. Not just some of the greatest animated movies, not just some of the greatest superhero movies, but flat out some of the best, most ambitious, and innovative films of the modern era. The jokes land, the action is incredible, and charting Miles' coming of age with his coming into Spiderdom was just mwah.
So good.
No other comic book movie outside of like Scott Pilgrim leans into the source material with this much sincere love and reverence. While so many other comic book movies have tried to tamp down some of the more comic booky elements, the Spider-Verse films wear them loud and proud on their sleeve. And that is why they work so well. Comics are such a unique and singular art form. By virtue of simply being pictures and words, the only limit to what's possible is in the imagination of the writer and artist, and of course an editorial mandate or two. In live action, you're limited by budget, the taste of executives who don't really seem to understand why the genre works, or generally what's cool. Time, release dates, constraints of a cinematic universe, technology, freaking physics. It's a miracle that for a decade the MCU was cranking out so many strong, visually stunning takes on the genre. The first Iron Man is still one of the all-time GOATs. Gotta shout out the Nolan trilogy. I know that's DC, but you gotta shout it out. And Avengers Infinity War and Endgame are honestly marvels. The characters are so larger than life, so spectacular, that trying to ground them in our reality can be a bit of a challenge, especially if world building isn't entirely your strength. The use of animation allows you to ground the heroes in a world that matches their energy. Both Spider-Verse and the criminally slept on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem use animation to build wonderfully expressive worlds. Mutant Mayhem really emphasized the teenage portion of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with an art style that felt like a teenager's bored math class doodles come to vibrant, exciting life. Spider-Verse's relentless, pop art psychedelic take on the multiverse does more to drive home the fantastical and bizarre nature of the multiverse than any of the live-action takes on the concept. And even if we go back to like the OG straight-to-DVD DC animated movies, Justice League The New Frontier's art style perfectly captures and evokes a bygone era of heroism in a way that not even Captain America the First Avenger quite nailed. It did get incredibly close, though. The First Avenger is mad underrated, and like, if I'm establishing rules for this channel, First Avenger slander will not be tolerated. Animation not only allows the heroes to showcase their powers in fantastical ways, but it allows the world they exist in to feel like true extensions of themselves. I truly don't understand why we haven't gotten more animated superhero movies, especially given that they basically become animated characters once the hand throwing goes down in the live action films. You want to tell me that's really Jason Momoa leaping from that building? Really?
Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
There is hope on the horizon for more interesting animated takes on the capes. There's the third entry in the Spider-Verse films, a planned sequel to Mutant Mayhem, but the thing I'm most curious/excited about is James Gunn and Peter Safran's plans for DC films. Gunn has said their new DCU will place an emphasis both on live action and animation, with the characters crossing over between both mediums and generally played by the same people who voice them. The first in this initiative, Creature Commandos, is set for release later this year, and I'm incredibly curious to see how this will play out. If this works and we wind up getting some incredible animated superhero movies, I think this would give DC a clear angle differentiating it from the MCU, but could also hopefully spur Marvel and other companies trying to get into the superhero game to try the approach out for themselves. There are multiple reasons superhero fatigue has set in, but I think the biggest one is a general feeling of sameness across the projects. Animation with decent budgets and unique art styles could be the shot in the arm the genre needs. I mean, heck, Across the Spider-Verse was the second highest grossing superhero movie last year, behind Guardians 3. So it's not like audiences aren't interested and that these movies won't make box office on the same scale as their live action counterparts. It's proven it can happen. So, that's my spiel. Watch more animated movies, they're great. I'll see you in a couple weeks. We'll be talking about some R-rated comedies. What's going on with those? I miss them. We need more of them.